Today's episode is brought to you by Patreon. If you're interested in supporting the show, go to patreon.com/JoshuaVelas and become a $2 backer today and get early access to the new episodes. I'll be leaving a link in the description down below, but for now, on to today's episode. You're listening to the Augmented Experience podcast. I'm your host, as usual, Joshua Velas. I'm a student, musician, and a gamer at heart. Join me as I sit down every week to talk about all the latest news in the technology, business, and video game world. I hope you guys enjoy. All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. My name is Joshua Velas. I am your host as usual, and welcome back to the show. Today's episode 69 of the show. Obviously, almost 70 episodes of this thing. I still don't know why you guys keep coming back and listening. It's probably because of my personality, but it's probably, maybe. But I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for coming back. I really appreciate it. Obviously, I just want to get this off my chest because, it just recently happened. So, as you guys know, I had gone through an interview with T.I., and went through the entire process. It's been like five weeks since the whole interview happened, and I just got word that I didn't get it. And, I'm not upset about it. I've just been getting a lot of messages about it, and, I put it on my Snapchat. If anybody's like really wants my in-depth opinion of how I felt about the whole thing, just go on my Snap and then, just look on there, because I pretty much laid it out clearly. Like, I'm not upset, like I said, based on, like, I'm going to go in my faith a little bit before going into the topic that, I know that God is good. I know that he is faithful, that he is just. He didn't promise us anything in life. Like, we are not guaranteed anything. Like, I'm not going to start preaching a prosperity gospel, because that's not accurate. But I know that he is faithful, that he is just, that he has promised to be with us to the very end of the age. And that, I'm not going to beat myself up, because, his word tells me not to beat myself up. Proverbs 24:16, for the righteous falls 7 times, arises again and again, but the wicked stumble and calamity strikes. That I remind myself of that truth every day. And, I know he's got me. I know that I always prayed every time I went into an interview, Lord, if this is your will, then let it be done. And if not, then Lord, help me to be okay with that. And, it wasn't. So I'm like, that's fine. That's your will, Father. I'm not ready. And, I just keep moving forward, because he's going to open another door that's even greater, and, he'll open it wide. So I thank you guys so much for all your thoughts and prayers about this entire time, because it's been very encouraging, like uplifting, and I really, really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. But I know we got to get into the topic, because you guys are more interested about talking about AirPods Pro, which, okay, I'm going to say this now because we've been saying this for a while. We knew this thing was going to happen. We knew AirPods Pro were going to happen. We knew they were going to happen the way they did. Not exactly the shape, but like the whole idea behind them. Like, we knew this was going to happen. And I mainly want to use this episode as like giving my thoughts, because I will do another episode on this with a guest. Maybe Juan, because I know he has some very strong opinions about these things. But anyways, what are my thoughts on the AirPods Pro? Besides like already knowing that we knew they were going to happen, like what they were going to do. And I think for me, I think it mainly just revolves around the whole idea of AirPods in general, is that when AirPods first were revealed or announced, or, whatever you really want to use for it, a lot of people didn't like them. They thought they were really stupid. We all agreed that it was a really, it looked terrible. We were like, this looks dumb. These are literally just the Apple earbuds, just without the cord. And, we're just like, this is dumb. This is pointless. Nobody's going to buy this. Fast forward like a year or two later, and they become everyone's favorite headphones, or earbuds specifically. And they're considered the premier standard of truly wireless earbuds. And I don't think that's 100% true. And I've had this discussion with multiple people, because AirPods it's this weird anomaly. And this is where I think the pros fall into, because they're another weird anomaly in their own right. But I think the AirPod culture in general is just it's so weird. Like, if you think about it, it's super weird. Like, how we went from not liking these things, thinking that these things were a bad idea, to them becoming one of the most popular products Apple has made in the last couple years. And then aside from that, the amount of money they've made from selling more AirPods as replacements is insane. Like, people don't seem to realize this, bro. Like, it's crazy. Like, some people just don't understand, and this isn't a bad thing. Like, I'm not knocking anybody. Like, now granted, if you're breaking your AirPods and you're constantly buying new ones, then I'd probably stop buying earbuds, bro. But aside from that, I think it's such an interesting perspective when you like look at it from an outside perspective and you don't own them. It's so crazy on how AirPod culture is just a weird conglomerate of people, because people go everywhere with them. Especially as a college student. I'm speaking from a college student perspective. And this is why I said this episode is mainly just on my thoughts about the AirPods Pro and like AirPod culture in general. That as a college student, I see them everywhere. I see people walking, to the breakfast line. I see people walking to the library. I see people walking to their classes with their AirPods in, and they don't take them out. They just, even in class, they just have them one AirPod in and then, still on their phone in class. And it's so crazy because for people, it almost just seems like it's so seamless. And I get it, that's what they're supposed to do, but it's so crazy on how quickly the market has changed their mindset on them. Even though as audiophiles, we don't really like them. Juan's already stated multiple times he doesn't like them because also there's health risk with them, which I'll explain why the health risk should be taken into consideration, because a lot of people don't realize the health risks that come with using AirPods. And, I'll explain that in a bit. And this is kind of it'll lead into the Pro and everything. That to me, I still don't believe that truly wireless is going to be the future. I still don't believe, because it's still not good. It's because, like I said, it still relies on a battery. So obviously Bluetooth headphones rely on a battery, so you have to constantly recharge it. And if the battery dies, you can't really replace it. You have to buy another one. And with, obviously with traditional headphones, you just switch out the cable if something breaks, or one of the ear cuffs, you just replace it, and it's all fixable by yourself. And it's so fascinating to me how AirPod culture has just taken over. And this is essentially what led into the Pro, if you think about it. AirPods became so popular that people were like, we want better sound, we want noise canceling, we want these more Pro, and I use Pro with quotation marks, features. And that's why we got the AirPods Pro. And a lot of us knew they were going to do this with the AirPods Pro. We knew they were going to have rubber tips, because that's what people wanted. Rubber tips are better than just, one size fits all, because, in theory, they should stay in your ear so much better. In theory, I will say that now. And it's so crazy, because I personally, from my experience using AirPods, because I've used AirPods before. I've used them with one of my friends when she accidentally left it with me. She forgot about them and I just had them for a day. And then obviously with my nephew, I've used his AirPods multiple times to do interviews for the show. And it's so crazy because not that many people realize how convenient they are. And I agree, from my experience, I found them super convenient, because just popping them in, they connect, and I'm like, holy cow, this is crazy. I feel like I was going a little bit crazy because they connect to my iPad really easily. But at the same time, I'm also like, these don't sound amazing. I'm like, these sound pretty bad. And that's also because I'm coming from the perspective, I have good headphones. I have really nice headphones. And, I'm coming from the perspective, I know what sounds good. I'm not, because like I said, audio is a very subjective thing. So what sounds good to me might not sound good to you. But to me, I was like, I know what sounds good to me. And that's my headphones. And I know what I can get out of those things. And out of the AirPods, I'm like, I can't get the same thing. I can't enjoy listening to music in these things. I'm more comfortable using my Jaybird X4s for my music. Obviously, granted, those are still workout earbuds and a whole different thing. But I think to me, all these features that people wanted, they wanted noise canceling and they wanted the rubber tips for the AirPods Pro. We got them. Obviously, granted, we wanted them in black or at least another color instead of just white, because as we all know, that white is going to get really dirty and it's going to look really ugly in a year, but oh well. So what about the AirPods Pro? What actually was different, or I'd say what makes them Pro? And it's a very interesting conversation, if we're being honest, because to me, the way that Apple was trying to spin this is so crazy, because they're saying sound where it talks about this, where it says AirPods Pro are the only in-ear headphones, and you can't use in-ear headphones, but okay. In-ear headphones with active noise cancellation that continuously adapts to the geometry of your ear and to fit in the ear tips, blocking out the world so you can focus on what you're listening to. an outward focusing microphone detects external sound, like talks about these things, like these special features, obviously like audio quality. They're talking about the drivers and, talking about the specific H1 chip. But I think what's so interesting to me, and this is what I say, I feel like to me, the AirPods Pro really aren't that worth it, in my opinion, is because what really separates them from the originals besides just, besides like the noise canceling and the rubber tips, not really much. The functionality, if you think about it, most people that use AirPods, they just use them for, just taking phone calls, walking around, connecting to their phone and watching videos. That's it. Nobody uses them for like actually listen. Like nobody uses them for professional mixing and things like that, which is so funny that we keep throwing around this word pro. Like it's just, a magic word to throw around and make something look cool and justify a bigger price tag, And it's so crazy that as a society, we're okay with that. And, we're not really getting the most. And yeah, we're talking about about a $50 price hike if we're talking about like with wireless charging, you know what I'm saying? Like, because obviously the AirPods Generation 2, without the wireless charging are cheaper. And then with the case, but about like $50 plus, or depending on where you live, like 50 to plus taxes, 50 plus. And it's so crazy that we try to justify the price tag. And, I get it. Some people really like the first AirPods. Some people really didn't. And, there's people that like the pros and there's people that don't. But I think it's really interesting to me is, I'd say really, and this is where I go into it, where it's kind of this mixed bag. Because if you look on YouTube, you're seeing a lot of videos talking about, are they worth it? Are they worth it? They're not worth it. They're not as good as what you think, like overpriced, and you're getting mixed bags from the tech community. You have Flossie Carter, and this isn't me like trying to put people on blast, but this is just like me just saying like what you'll find. Like Flossie Carter telling people, bro, it ain't worth it. You got other people saying, hey, it's worth it. Like obviously you got Juan saying, please stop buying this garbage. But you got people all over the place. That's what you got. And there is no definitive. And I think this is where it comes to the play of actually identifying what's good for people and what's good for the market. And to me, in my opinion, I just don't think AirPods Pro are a step in the right direction, really. Because if we're talking about pro audio, there's a main competition with it, which is the Sony like WX and MX. I keep forgetting what they are exactly, but it's a pair of Sonys that a lot of people compare them to. And obviously, yes, the Sony case is much bigger, but you get a lot of functionalities and you get a little bit better functionalities. And this is why I say, like, to me, I can't really talk about sound quality that much. I can't give my opinion on it because, like I said, I don't have an opinion. I've never tested these things. I've never tested the new. I've tested the original AirPods and, not the Generation 1, but I've tested the Generation 2. And to me, it's so crazy because, like, these things serve a specific purpose. It's convenience. And that's all they are, is just pure convenience. And a lot of companies are doing this. OnePlus does it with their Bullet Wireless 2s. Google's doing it with the Pixel Buds soon. Microsoft's doing it with their Surface Buds. Like companies are, and the Huawei doing it with their phones. The Huawei Buds. And then obviously Samsung with the Galaxy Buds. I can't leave them out because I know a lot of people love the Galaxy Buds. But this whole idea of truly wireless is just not. It's not good. There's so many drawbacks to it. And this is where I want to talk a little about the health concerns because a lot of people didn't seem to know about this. And when you think about how AirPods work, you're getting the signal from your phone to one AirPod, the one in your, like, depending on the phone, it should be like from your either left to right or right to left, depending on how it goes. But either way, I'll get the point across. So say it goes from your phone to your AirPod. So it goes to one AirPod. That's a direct signal going from here to here. And then you have the other one. So how is the other one going to get the signal? Because the signal doesn't split. The signal is concurrent. It's going to go, you get what I'm saying? It has to go through something. So AirPod, the signal is going to go through your head. What a lot of people don't realize is a lot of the health concerns that can cause brain cancer and can cause a lot of really, really bad stuff. And obviously, granted, Apple has said this can't happen, this won't happen, but obviously studies have shown otherwise. And Juan is, he's done his homework on this too. And he's shown, like, look, science doesn't care about how you feel, bro. Like, this is going to happen. This is how signal works. Like, this is how radio waves transmit. Like, this is how this stuff works. And it's so crazy because a lot of people don't realize that. And this is where I say, to me, I think Apple might have missed the mark with the AirPods Pro. I don't think they should have made AirPods Pro. I think they were better off just making a pair of professional headphones, like actual over-ear headphones, or maybe even a neckband. I think a neckband design would have been nice. And there's a reason why I said the neckband, because this is becoming really popular nowadays. The idea of neckband convenience, because the neckband, obviously, yes, that's how signal is going to transfer. It's going to go to your neckband, and then, you know, it goes into the earbuds. It's not like the signal is moving through the neckband, so it's not interacting with you, and you don't have to worry about a signal going through you. And this is where I think companies like, you know, OnePlus did something really good with their phones, with the OnePlus, like obviously with the OnePlus 7 Pro, 7T, you know, all the OnePluses in general that have access to the feature where you can connect the bullet wireless, you know, just undo the magnetic connection and the connect. And to me, I think with the AirPods Pro specifically, I say the reason they aren't necessary for anybody is solely for the fact that what AirPods represent and what they're used for, the AirPods Pro don't really make sense. Like, they don't. The AirPods Pro are this weird anomaly that just doesn't make sense. Like I think a lot of people don't realize this, that AirPods Pro don't really make that much sense in the grand scheme of things. They don't. Like, when you and this is why I keep going back to this point, because AirPods in general represent convenience. And if people are only using them for convenience, for taking phone calls, for like going for walks and listening to music, why would you want a professional option? It makes no sense, because nobody is going to use them for that. If I'm going to have a pair of professional headphones, I'm not using wireless earbuds to do my mix. I'm not doing them to record. I'm doing them to, you know, just take a call. That's all they're good for. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. And it's so crazy because many people don't realize this. They don't. And I've been had multiple discussions with people about this, because AirPods, to me, they represent convenience. It's the whole Apple ecosystem is convenience. It's all interconnected. And what people don't seem to realize with AirPods Pro is it doesn't make logical sense for them to be the way they are. Like, and even then, even in the price tag, look, you're pushing it. When you start going into the $250 price range for earbuds, you need to have good earbuds. It doesn't matter about the connectivity. No, at that point, nobody cares. Like, they care about how good they are. Like, you need good earbuds at that price range. If you're charging big bucks, like if you're charging big dollars, bro, you better be providing an incredible experience. Like, you have to be. There is no exception. Like, now granted, obviously, you know, some people are like, yo, bro, most companies don't care at this point. Like, they want that bread. So I'm like, true. But when you get to that price range, it's where it becomes really, really interesting. Because, like I said, the pair of Sonys are there. Those Sonys are really nice, and a lot of people like the Sonys, and it's the main competitor. And I know as time goes by, companies will make competition for them. But it's also, like I said, is the whole truly wireless category is still, I still don't agree with it in general. Like, no matter what the company, I don't agree with it. Now, granted, I like the neckband design. I think that's a better implementation because it makes more sense. It's more convenient. It's more ergonomic. So, like, to have it around your neck so it won't fall off and you don't have to worry about losing them because it's around your neck. So it's like, a lot of people don't even realize this. But I think, to me, the AirPods Pro, as much as I know, like, we already knew they were going to exist, I still don't think it was a bright idea for them to exist. Now, granted, like I said before, I cannot talk about sound quality that much because I've not used them. Now, granted, depending on how things go, we can have a guest on that will talk about them. And he will go into detail about, you know, what he's heard, what he's observed, you know, what are his observations about them, you know, how does he feel about them, you know. But I think overall in the market, like, I know people are going to buy them because it's Apple. Like, people love AirPods. You tell them, hey, if you don't have these new AirPods, you're poor. You're using the poor people model. Like, you can't afford the good model. Like, trust me, bro, this is going to happen. Like, this at the point, well, to be honest, at the point we're going, AirPods are such a cultural, like, phenomenon that it's like, bro, you are going to get called poor if you don't own them. Like, if you have people that have AirPods and you know people that have AirPods, there's a high chance for Christmas they're probably going to ask for the pros and be like, oh, I want the good ones. Like, I want those because they're the high end one and I don't want to look poor. Like, it's a status symbol now at this point. I'd say that's Apple in general, but that's a whole different thing. But I think a lot of people don't seem to realize this. And I think it's very jarring. I think it's very scary because, like I said, Truly Wireless has health concerns, very concerning health concerns. And this isn't just exclusive to Apple, but, I want to dog on Apple a little bit more because, they're the forefront. They're the big seller. They're the ones that everybody's buying from. And like I said, they made a ton of money just from selling replacements. Because they can't really repair them. You can't repair AirPods. You can't. You either break them or you buy a new one. That's all you can do. And I think a lot of people don't seem to realize this. And to me, in my opinion, I think the AirPods Pros are a skip. But obviously, like I said, when we have the guest over, it'll be a much different, maybe different conversation. But like I said, these are just my thoughts and opinions on the AirPods Pro based on what I've seen, what I've observed. And to me, it just seems like they're not worth it because when you think of the idea of what AirPods represent, they don't line up. It doesn't line up exactly with what the whole idea behind AirPods in general are. It's not pro audio. This isn't pro audio. This is decent audio. You get what I'm saying? And I know some people say, Josh, you said you can't talk about audio, but it's just obvious. There's no way, logically makes sense. There's no way an earbud is going to sound better than a professional headset. They won't. It's logically impossible because of driver size and everything and just many factors. And I get it. Bluetooth is getting much, much better, but it's still never going to replace the traditional way of analog, like plugging in my headphones into my device and having a good headphone jack so my headphones can be driven properly. It won't replace that because the longevity is the main key. And like I said, this can go into a whole discussion about the right to repair and things like that, and it can really go into that direction, but I don't want to go in that direction right now. But I hope you guys understand where I'm coming from with this and why I have the opinion that I do. That my opinion is mainly guided by the idea of what AirPods represent and the culture behind it. And it's just, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't line up with the culture they've created for them. And I think it's just this weird anomaly that just exists. And we knew they were going to exist. We wanted them to come out. But when we have them, it doesn't make sense. You get what I mean? It doesn't make sense. It's not as a smooth transition as we think it should be. And, because like I said, besides the new design and the rubber tips and noise cancellation, there's not really much different because people mainly just use AirPods for taking phone calls, going for walks, just casual music listening. And, that's all they're good for. That's all they're used for. And it's a status symbol of anything. It's a status symbol. And the AirPods Pro, you're getting the same feature, maybe a little bit better sound here and there. Maybe you'll get, obviously with the noise canceling everything, but, sound quality decreases because of the noise cancellation based on what I've heard and seen. And, it doesn't make sense. And I hope you guys understand where I'm coming from. So anyways, that's all I got for you guys today. I know it's a little bit of a shorter episode because, like I said, this is just my thoughts and opinions on them because I haven't used them. But we will address this topic again with a guest. We will, for sure. I will make sure that we have a guest that talks about his experience with the AirPods Pro and, get another perspective. My perspective is coming from what I've seen and what, I've observed from other people and their observations. So, that's where I'm coming from. But I hope you guys understand. I love you guys to death. Have yourselves a wonderful day. But also, I want to say this now. There will be a Real Talk episode soon. I am planning on doing another Real Talk soon, and it's going to be over. Like I said, I alluded to this a few weeks back that I'm ready to talk about, a specific topic on the show. And I hope you guys understand. I love you guys to death. I hope you guys enjoy that episode. The Real Talk one, I'm really, really excited because I think it's going to be very encouraging. I think it's going to be very helpful, and it's very useful for people that listen to my show. And I think people in the age range that listen to my show too. I think it's very important. I think it's important for all ages, either way. But I hope you guys enjoy. I love you guys to death. Have yourselves a wonderful week, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys. Hey there. Thank you for listening to today's episode. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day and listening to today's episode. If you're interested in supporting the show, whether it be financially, clicking the follow button, or just sharing the episode, it all works for me, guys. Thank you guys so much for your time, and I love you guys to death.